about now. The first one. Okay, so here we have Pierre from France, captain of the French team, I believe.
Not really. I'm just the French manager.
You're just a French
I didn't
manager.
put myself into captains.
Well, I think that was
left that to my friends.
That might have been a sensible move. Who knows? At least then they can't chop your head off, can they?
No, not really.
Right. We're talking about Italy 2 versus Spain 2. This is our second try at doing this video because I'm eager to get them out. The quality's not going to be great, but let's get them out quickly. The first one is the Fellowship. Well, I call it the Fellowship because it's got Legolas, Elfbow, Elven Cloak. He's on his own and he's leading King's Champion, Dwarf Warriors, Kazakh Guard, 5 of each, Treebeard, some Wozes, and a Gladrim Stormcaller with 2 Knights, 2 Sentinels, a couple of Warriors, and Guard of the Gladrim Court. Pierre, what are your thoughts on this list?
This list can face a lot of things, I think. Legolas, with this shooting option, can be very interesting to snipe heroes like Nazgûl, Ringwraiths, or several warriors with this 3-shot. You have a very nice combination of wood elves and dwarf, who can be very interesting, like high defenses and high fight value with elves.
Yeah.
And then you have a little bit of fun with Treebeard and the Roses, who can be very interesting also.
Well, I'd be frightened of Treebeard in that list because I wouldn't want to get close with the dwarfs with their strength 4. I definitely don't want to get close with the fight 6 support. Legolas shooting at me from a distance is quite nasty. And then when I do get close, I get this big Treebeard squashing me to bits. So, yeah, definitely not a nice list, but an interesting list. Right, let's crack on and look at the next one, which is Kardush. Kardush is leading some Orc warriors, and they've got a banner in that warband there. I've just getting the Spanish contacting me at the moment. We're due for another video soon, so let's crack on with this anyway. We've got Gorbag with 12 Orc warriors, spear, shield. Shagrat, Blackguard, Bardur, Orc warrior supports. Dorbors, loads of Maria goblins there. Maria Goblin Shaman, a load more goblins, and an Orcai Shaman, and a nice little block of 12. You've got a 4 front and 8 rear pikemen. So that's an interesting list. Well, my first thoughts on that are he's got 2 Shamans in there, so he's looking for a red v blue game. He's got, you mentioned earlier, 72 models.
Yeah, the goal of this list will be to outnumber his opponents because it will be the most populous list of the tournament, I think.
Yes.
After, it won't have a very big impact despite the Urukai, I think. It will be, the goal of this list is to launch a lot of dices.
Yes. It's an interesting list. It's an interesting list.
It will be very good at domination. So the opponent will need to be careful, I think.
So then we're going on to Lothlorien and Mirkwood, which is Gladriel, Lady of Light. The stats I've sent you there is of the normal Gladriel, but that's just an issue that I'm having with Army Builder. Lady of Light only comes up as 125, but hey ho. She's then got beneath her a Stormcaller and 12 warriors, 6 Wood Elf and 6 Gladrium. The Gladriums have the elf bows. Then she has another Stormcaller warband, guarded Gladrim Court. She has a banner in there and a Gladrim Warrior. So it's a real full Gladrim list here. It's looking nice. Now, you'll notice there's a couple of Gladrim Warriors in there, and that will be an indication of different specialist weapons. Axes, whips, or clubs even. I'm calling this ETC the Knight of the Axes. Dear.
Yeah.
And then we have my favorite model, when I see it in a list, is Trandral, King of Mirkwood, with his Nature's Wrath and his Terror. He's got one knight in there, so you've got a tiny bit of mobility, and then he's got plenty of Wood Elves and guards of the Gladrim. Well, he's got one Gladrim court, should I say? And then finally we have Gambrigan and 9 Wozes, with a total of 49 models. Your thoughts on this list?
Galadriel will be against all the ring race, I think. Which is interesting for that. After, when the elves are very numbered like this, it can be very interesting because the fight value is very high. You have a lot of dice, so you will win the fights. It will be difficult to face him. After, it will be in difficulties against monsters, I think, because he has no transfix powers or no magical powers. So he needs to be careful against monsters.
Yes, but the amount of I suppose Nature's Wrath, in a sense, knocked to the ground is tremendous. What have we got? We've got two Stormcallers, plus we have Trandral. And remember how the Stormcallers work, because if you roll your 3 dice, if you take that risk and roll your 3 dice, but you get a 6, you get your 3 will back. So they're like Duracell bunnies, in a sense.
It will be very easy.
Yeah.
After, you still can miss blind 6.
Yes.
And it will be frustrating for you.
Very true, but if you knock a Felbeast to the ground, that's good enough, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So the next list we have is Saruman the White on horse. And then we have Balin, son of Fundin, with Dwarf Warriors and 4 Khazad Guard. A King's Champion, Dwarf Warriors and Khazad Guards again. And then we have, I can never pronounce this guy, Lieutenant of Amon Barad. Is it Kyrian? Syrian? Chirian? I don't know. How do you pronounce it?
Well, in French we pronounce Syrian.
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 Well, we'll make him French for today, and we'll call him Syrian. And he's got 5 Rangers with bows, and he's got 7 Minas Tirith Warriors with spears. And then we keep to the Minas Tirith theme with Beregond, with 2 Knights of Minas Tirith, and 6 Warriors with spear and shield again. Right.
It's a nice list also. She will be very resistant with defense 6 and defense 7.
Right. You know, I have actually made a slight boo-boo on that list. Let me quickly refresh. Again, a problem I was having earlier. Let me just find that we're on the Italian 2 list. And I'm just looking for this list because yeah, that's all in place. That's all good. It's just one of these things. King's Champion with Legolas. Yeah, down we go. That's all good. And then the last list is Saruman the White with a horse. Yeah, that's it. No, that's perfectly fine. There was a slight error in that, my part, but it's all good now. But have I only sent, how many lists have I sent you there, Pierre, for these guys? There's one more list, surely.
I think there's one more list.
There has to be one more list.
Exactly. The very next list.
The very next list. Let's pull this open and take a look at the very next list. So, what's that list there? That's Gladriel with Gambrigan. That's...
Yes.
Right. And you see, this is where I have this big problem jumping out at me, because... No, I've got it. Yes, it's written down. The Italians have sent me a list called the Witch Prince, but it's not the Witch Prince. It's actually the Cardush one. Now, this last list is very, very important list. I've read out all the Italian lists so far. Would you like to read out this very, very long list?
The final list is Smog.
Oh, no! We have a Smog.
So it can be very funny to face it, but it's a very technical army list, I think.
So that's 700 points, but it's 800 points, is it not?
Yeah, he made the choice to be alone.
Why would you think he's made that choice?
I don't know. Really, I don't know.
Are you thinking, like I'm thinking, that this might actually be the false list? Not the false list, but the fifth list? This could be anybody's list?
I think so. Or the guy are very brave to play it.
Well, I mean, for 100 points, you could have put in a shade.
Yeah, you can.
You still wouldn't be broken, would you?
You should have at least 2 models or 3 models at least.
Yes, indeed. So it's...
one time we practiced Smog one time in France, and my friend plays Smog with a Taskmaster and a banner.
Yeah.
It's kind of... but it's too difficult to play it.
Yeah.
In tournament, it's very difficult.
So are we putting it out there that we think this might be the list that they just put together and they all intend to turn up?
I think so.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's give the Spanish a little bit of a mention, and we're on Spain 2. Now, the first list I'm pulling out here is Aragorn and Rivendell. Okay. And what I'm seeing here is I need to just double check again on one point, because luckily I actually don't have it up to hand. We'll go through this list. I'm sure it's all fine. I know that there was something that they needed to do. They needed to add 2 more High Elf warriors to Aristor's list, which they came back to me, but it hasn't been added on here. So what we have is Glorfindel, and he's leading a High Elf with a warrior with a banner, and then he's got 9 High Elf warriors with spear and shield. Glorfindel's riding a horse, by the way, Asphaleth, and then we have Aristor, and he has 2, 2, and 2 all High Elf warriors, 2 with elf bows, 4 with elf bows actually, and a bit of different, how would I say, different weapons going on in there. So that's something to watch out for. But there is an extra 2 guys on that listing. What do you have there in your listing? Do you have 4 High Elf warriors, or just 3 sections of High Elf warriors with Aristor?
4 and 4. Let me check.
in Arister's squad, you should have potentially 3 separate high elf warrior sections, or do you have 4?
Well, I will check it. It was the
Yes,
first list.
yes, I've given you
It was
4.
2.
Yeah, so yeah, you've got the updated version. That's great. Because originally the listing was lacking, and they needed to put in another 2 high elf warriors, which would have increased the bow limit, which was fine, and also bring up their army because they were at like some 780 points in total. I have had a couple of countries make mistakes, and making mistakes we're all fully aware of. No one's been penalised to date. You know, I've given everyone a chance, and people have quickly rectified their mistakes. So fingers crossed, we're going in with clean sheets, everyone, and it's all looking good. Anyway, I digress. My apologies. After Arister, if you want to continue on, who have we got?
We have Arwen on foot, I guess, and 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 high elf warriors with different war gear.
Yes, we've got elven blades, we've got spears, we've got elf bow and spear, and just elf bow. So there's a bit of a mix match there as well. And then finally, keeping with the elves, we have
Gimli, son of Brun.
Yeah.
And 10 Khazad guards.
Yeah, with 2-handed axes going in there. Okay, so that's a total of 38 models. Your thoughts, Pierre?
It's an interesting list. Glorfindel and Gimli will be very strong because 3 attacks with high elf warriors and Khazad guards by their side, they will be resistant and resistant. After I have some doubts on Arwen, his Willstar can be very easily taken off.
Yeah, but she does have Nature's Wrath.
Yeah, but only 3 points of will, so it's very difficult. She have to decide if she have to between resisting to magical powers or saving up for the natural wrath.
My only comeback there is she's only 60 points.
Yeah.
So she's a grenade. So if an enemy model is spending time trying to sap will or engage or whatever, they're wasting their time on this one model, whilst the rest of the army has enough force to come in and do a lot of smashing. If she's held back and she's kept out of the game until the right moment and comes in like a grenade, she could be devastating. But it's always going to be in the back of the mind of your opponent that she's there, and you're going to be double guessing and double thinking all your moves because of her. And that's only for 60 points. So I think she's an amazing model. I would have put her on a horse. Most definitely, I would have put her on a horse to give you that mobility. But yeah, I mean, I've seen Arwen cause a lot of problems, and I've also seen her taken out the first turn of the game. So,
but she's really difficult to play, I think.
Yes, she is.
Because she's very fragile.
Indeed, yes, she's extremely fragile. You'd have to put her behind 5 models and hope that all in the ways fail. Right. So, that was Glorfindel. Then we're on to Harad and Sullivan. Right. Now, I've sent you the updated version of this. Okay.
I didn't get this one.
Did I not send you this updated one? Please don't tell me I sent it to somebody else. I might have just sent it to somebody else around the world. Okay, so you have the old version. Let me go through the new version because there have been a couple of problems, and this for me was the most difficult problem. I even had to contact GW, not directly, but I had to speak to someone from GW and ask them what their thoughts are. Yes, it's the scorpion sting rule, and the problem with it is it's clear in what it says, but it's not clear enough to just go boom. Initially, I had been sent a list which, no matter how I read it, how I wrote it out, it always came up as bow limit exceeded. Okay, there was too many bows in there, and it was working off the premise that if you have, in order to obtain the scorpion sting rule, which is 50% bow limit, you have to have a certain range of type of models in your list. The minute you start bringing in half trolls, corsairs, and stuff like that, you break the bow limit 50%, even though they're in the same army, and you have to revert back to the 33% rule. And it became problematic because, again, speaking to other countries, there is a big language barrier, both in the rule books and, you know, how people speak. But they were kind enough to come back to me today, very, very quickly, with an update, and I have the updated one here. So let me read out this list. It'll be quite similar to what you have. So we have Saladin with 2 Hardrum warriors with bows and spears. We have 3 Harad Abrakan guard, you know, the merchant guards. Then we have 2 Watchers of Karna with bows, and then we have 2 Serpent guards. Okay. Then we have the Knight of Umbar, and he seems to be on. He's got a horse there. Yeah. Got 2 Haradrim warriors with bows and spears, 3 merchant guard, 2 Watchers of Karna with bows, and then 2 Serpent guard with spears. We have a Harashan assassin. I've never actually seen that model on a table in my life. I'm looking for. Oh, I lie. Maybe Dave Reed's used it once before, but I can't recall. But I've never actually come across it in my memory. With that, we have 1 Haradrim warrior with bow. We have 3 merchant guard. We have 2 Watchers of Karna with bows. We have 2 Serpent guard with spears. We have 2 Mahud warriors with spears, and we have 1 half troll, okay, with a 2-handed club there. And then we have Dalamir, Fleet Master of Umbar, 1 Haradrim warrior, bow and spear, 3 merchant guard again, 2 Serpent guards with spears, 2 Watchers of Karna with bow, 3 Mahud warrior with spears, and 1 half troll with weapons. And that actually works out. It's slightly different to the list you have there, but it does work. So he's working on the 33% bow limit now, by the look of things, which is good. Sorry for talking through all of that one on my own. What were your thoughts? You got a similar sort of copy up there.
This is a very big impact, I think, with Abrakan guards with a strength 4 and 2-handed weapon.
Yeah.
But also the Watcher of Karna, they are very interesting with the 2 attacks.
And their courage bonus as well. Their courage bonus is amazing. They get +2 when charging terror-causing models.
But it's a very fragile army, so
yeah,
against a monster or against bows, it's very difficult, I think, for them.
I agree. All right, let's go on to something with monsters in it. Let's look at Strider and Treebeard. So, do you want to go through this list here?
So the first warband is Treebeard.
Yep.
And you have also Tom Bombadil in it.
Yes. Oh, what can I say?
It's the first time I saw him in the army list. So
yeah,
we will see.
I mean, the only bonus is this army has very little chance in recon. But other than that, I don't even know the rules for Tom.
Without problem. Yeah, the third warband with Aragon, with a very nice warjay, I guess.
He does. He has Andrew there. He's poking around with his big stick, his big sword. He's happy.
Yeah.
You know, father-in-law's just given him a new sword. Thank you very much.
A very nice sword. Yeah. You have also Legolas with him.
Yeah, with
and the
Elfbow.
final warband is Malbeth.
Yeah, Elfbow and Elven Cloak there. So Legolas might be staying behind and doing a few pot shots. Oh, by the way, Aragorn also has an Elven Cloak and he has a bow. So, you know, a couple of sneaky shots there. I don't think they're going to kill all of 72 goblins between them, but I'm sure they'll give it a good try.
Yeah, it's a very touchy list.
And then
because
Malbit the Seer. Malbit the Seer.
Yeah, it's a good. It will be a good model for this kind of list.
Why?
Where each model is very important. So if you can save one wound with Malbeth, it can be very interesting.
Okay.
Each save will be.
But Tom Bombadil automatically gives back a wound.
Yeah. You need to do 5+.
Okay, let's put it this way.
I already played my base in this kind of list, and
I would hate to come across this list. I would hate to come across this list in Lords of Battle.
Yeah.
That would be an horrendous list. But is Lords of Battle a strong enough game to pull this list out to go into domination, reconnoiter, hold ground?
Yeah. It's very useful in two cases, Master of Battle and Lord and Deathly Match or something like this. There's this match.
Sorry, death to the death, is it?
This should be two scenarios: Lord of Battles and to the death.
Yes, yes. I'm just bemused because any scenario that has them in Maelstrom of Battle, where they can come on anywhere, and Tom Bombadil comes over in the top far-hand corner and is surrounded by a small troop of 4 or 5 semicircled goblins. He can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
He will need to arrive in pack. If he's dispatched, it will be very difficult for him.
Now, let's move on to the next list, because I do believe that Treebeard with Strider so far looks like the list that'll be for the backup plan. I'm a hope. I don't know. I think I'd like to see it on the table. It would be fun, but yeah, let's look on. Okay, so we have Fat Boy Slim, the Goblin King. Haven't seen a load of Goblin Kings arrive at this tournament yet. We've still got a few more lists to go through, but I haven't seen many. Packing the usual 12 goblins into his bag. That's fine. We've got the Scribe, you know, hidden in the background, just always trying to bring on more. You know, I've got friends. I've got more friends than you have. Again, 12 goblins in his bag. Grinner, Goblin Captain. Now, this is interesting because we've Grinner with 12, but then we have the Goblin Captain with only 2.
Goblin.
And then we have a Goblin Captain with 12. And then a Moria Shaman on his own, the Shadow Lord and a Shade. That is an interesting army.
Very interesting. Very fragile, but with a lot of models in it. And even more with the tribe.
I would have taken 10 points and put the Shadow Lord on a horse, only to increase the range of his Dark Pale. Is it? I can never remember what it's called again. What is this thing is called? Sorry, Pall of Darkness, my apologies. Because if you put him on a larger base, you have a larger effect. So a 10 points just to get that larger effect might have been nice.
I think also. And also a magician, a ring race on horse is very useful. You can put it anywhere.
Yes, very true. An interesting list. But let's crack on to the last list to cover, again, with Morea and Durbers here, the last of the Spanish lists. So we have Durbers. Oh, we have a cave. He's brought a cave troll with him. I like it. I really do like it. Do you want to talk down through this list, sir?
So you have Durbers with a cave troll, 1 bat swarm, and 10 Moria Goblin warriors.
Spear and shields.
You have also Druzag.
I'm sorry?
You have also Druzag with 1 bat swarm and 9 Moria Goblin warriors.
Yep.
You have Groblog with 10 Moria Goblins warriors. 1 shaman with 10 Moria Goblin and 2 Marauders. And 1 Spider Queen.
I like the Spider Queen. I've always liked the Spider Queen. I felt it's always worth that extra 25 points to get that extra attack, those broodlings, and those 2 pieces of might.
It's a very useful moment.
The wounds, though, 3 wounds, very low defense. That's always her drawback, but she can be a devastating model in the right matchup. Your last thoughts on this army?
I very like it. I like Drozag with Bat Swarm. I think it's a very powerful combination. And the Spider Queen, I like it also. So I think it's a very good army.
I do like
you have 2 monsters.
I do like the 2 Marauders in there, Warg Marauders, giving you the mobility and the bow effect as well. So, you know, they could race off their speed and pick up a few objective markers and the like. So, interesting.
Yeah.
Let's summarize this all up, my friend, by who would you like to see against who?
It's very difficult to say. I think Spain too. It's a very good mix of lists. You have different kinds of tactics. You have, I think it's a very good mix. But Italy will play on numbers list to outnumber his opponent. It's very hard to say.
I mean, I'd be licking my lips thinking about all those goblins I can chew on. You know, so smog out there would be delightful.
Yeah,
but
I think we won't see smog.
No, I don't think we will, and I don't think we'll see the Treebeard and good old Tom Bombadil. But it would be hilarious if we do see Smog and we do see Tom Bombadil, and the 2 of them go up against each other in Lords of Battle.
It would be very nice. A very nice match.
It would be. Who would you put your money on? We're not betting here, but who would you put your money on? Italy or Spain? This is Italy team 2 or Spain team 2?
I will go to Spain, I think.
Interesting. Would you put it 4-0, 3-1, or 2-all?
I will say 3-1.
Okay. What list do you think they'll struggle with? What list do you think Spain will struggle with? Which one of their own will they struggle with? What's their weakest list? You think? And I don't mean weakest list across the board. I mean weakest list in the fact of the matchup against Italy too.
I think the list with Legolas will be effective against them.
Right.
After I don't know. It will depend on the pairing. It's very difficult to say when we don't have the pairing.
Well, we don't know the pairing because the captains have to make the pairings, not the managers.
Exactly. It's very
So,
I'll let them to others.
Will you be making the pairings for the French teams, or will you be letting the captains do them?
Well, we already discussed about how we will present our armies.
Yeah.
But after it depends on the others' army list. We will work on it to see which list should be faced, which list.
Yes, and then just hope that as you know, when the draw goes down for how you put your armies out, you put 2 people out, they put 2 people out, and then it works that way. So you could be very lucky or you could be very unlucky. Well, we'll just have to see, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. But we have different strategies.
It makes it interesting. It does make it interesting.
We just miss the other list to work.
Yes.
For working on strategy.
Well, listen, Pierre, thank you very, very much for this. Really appreciate you spending your time. And we'll get these videos out, and we'll get them out. I'll get them out this weekend. I just need to. The quality of them may not be great, but the idea behind them is fun. We just need to find a new system. So listen, Pierre, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate all the help and all the time you've put in.